CBS 13 News is on your side, live at 5.
Tonight, well wishes pour in for former First Lady.
Beautiful, beautiful woman, just inside and out, giving, always giving.
The family of 92-year-old Barbara Bush announces she's in failing health and won't seek further treatment.
I shed a tear yesterday because, you know, it's their family.
The legacies she and her husband, former President George H.W. Bush, have built in Maine. The difference they're making in lives across the state.
They're a rock to this community.
At the end of your life, you will never regret not having passed one more test, winning one more verdict, or not closing one more deal. You will regret time not spent with a husband, a child, a friend, or a parent.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Kim Block. We are live in Kennebunkport tonight, a coastal town where the former First family spends most of their summers, and a community that is certainly keeping the former First Lady in their hearts and minds tonight as we learn of her failing health. The 92-year-old has been in and out of the hospital now for a number of issues. Over the weekend, a family spokesperson said that she would no longer seek further medical treatment, a decision that prompted prayers from locals and leaders from every corner of the country and even beyond. CBS 13 has team coverage for you tonight. Let's begin with CBS 13's Jana Barnello, who is live in Houston, where the former First Lady is undergoing comfort care. Jana?
Kim, thank you. We are here on Post Oak Lane in Southwest Houston, where just across the street here is the community where Barbara Bush has called home for decades. She is here with her family, and she wouldn't have it any other way now that she has decided to stop medical treatment and instead focus on comfort care. Kim, as you mentioned, Mrs. Bush has been in and out of the hospital the last few months and now is in failing health. We've known for some time that former President Bush suffers from some form of Parkinson's disease, but not as many people knew about Barbara Bush's struggle with COPD. It's a lung disease that makes it difficult to breathe. She has been seen wearing oxygen in public recently. Now, according to their spokesperson, she is also suffering from congestive heart failure. While this sounds dire, and make no mistake, she is now accepting this is the end of her life, we heard from her granddaughter today, Jenna Bush Hager, the daughter of President George W. Bush. She says despite this difficult time, Barbara is in good spirits and says her grandmother is a fighter. We all know Barbara Bush to be a fighter for literacy, for children's health in Texas, in Maine, and well beyond. Here in Texas, we're going to focus on her legacy and how she cemented her place in American history. Live in Houston tonight, I'm Jana Barnello, CBS 13 News. Kim, back to you.
All right, thank you, Jana. The former First couple is beloved in Maine, and especially right here in Kennebunkport. Their summer home is on Walker's Point. That's right behind me on this road you see, Ocean Avenue. The family has had that property for decades. CBS 13's Marissa Bodner spoke to many of the people who know the Bushes and described them as gracious.
Gracious, kind, down to earth. Some even call them the rock of the community. So you can imagine this news is hitting people very hard tonight. Locals are sending their thoughts and prayers to the Bushes, but also their gratitude.
This is the first painting he did for them.
Evelyn Payne says her husband's painting of Walker's Point is what started their decades-long friendship with George and Barbara Bush.
They're just wonderful, wonderful people. And not only for us, but everybody that knows them.
Standing in the W. Robert Payne Gallery, she says her husband Bob has done several other paintings for the Bushes, including this one that hangs in their Houston home, seen here in their Christmas card.
We are very, very saddened by the news.
She says they last saw George and Barbara in October. Every year before the Bushes go back to Texas, the two couples meet for dinner at Mabel's.
The last comments we made to each other was, I hope we get to do this next year, too.
Locals can't imagine a summer without them.
We're very close. It's right down the street.
Tina Hewitt-Gordon is general manager at the Nonantum Resort. She says the former president and first lady are fixtures at the Memorial Day parade and often leave tourists in awe.
For us, I don't want to ever say we take it for granted, but they're a part of the thread of our community. And so they're They're just our neighbors down the street.
Neighbors who have left a lasting impression.
They don't make women like that anymore. And I think that it's for not only myself, but even I have 2 daughters, and that's the type of woman you aspire to be.
They say Barbara Bush is one of a kind.
I just hope and pray.
She sounds like a pretty tough lady, though.
She is. She's great. Great. The best First Lady ever, as far as I'm concerned.
Payne says very early on, Barbara told her, "We're not Mr. President and the First Lady. It's simply George and Barbara." That's how they're thought of here in Kennebunkport as well, a town currently sending all of its love to Texas. In Kennebunkport, Marissa Bodner, CBS 13 News.
Many here in the Kennebunkport community say when the Bushes are in town, they always make it a priority to attend church. The First Congregational Church in Kennebunkport is one of 2 that the former First family attends, and that's where we find CBS 13's Sam Reed.
Yeah, Kim, churchgoers here tell me every Sunday here in the summer when the Bushes are visiting, depending on the month and the timing of service, they're up very early, sitting in the front row here at the church. And in fact, one of the pews here at the First Congregational Church is dedicated in honor of the former President George H.W. Bush and the former First Lady. Now, many pictures can also be found throughout the church. I did have the opportunity to speak to one churchgoer who says Barbara's faith was very important to her. She says Barbara paid close attention and used her beliefs and things that she learned in church to help better others here in the community.
And so I used to do Words for Children here at church, and one of the stories I read was Say Something. And after church, she told me how much she liked the story, so I ordered it and gave it to her the next week. And from that, she read it at a children's literature festival at the Nonantum.
Now, Barbara Vanell tells me after Barbara Bush did read that book, the author, in fact, came to town and told her personally how sales had skyrocketed. She believes that's a testament to just how much this Kennebunkport community loves her. We're live in Kennebunkport. Sam Reed for CBS 13 News. I'll send it back to you.
And while Barbara Bush has made many memories here in Kennebunkport, she's also touched many lives in Portland, especially at the Children's Hospital. Maine Medical Center named it after her in the 1990s. CBS 13's Brad Rogers is there now. And Brad, she's touched so many lives and families there at the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital.
Yeah, you know, she really has. Both Barbara Bush and the Children's Hospital. They hold a special place in the hearts of thousands of parents and their children who've undergone life-saving procedures here. 2 of those people are Cheryl Herbert and her 8-year-old daughter, Avery. Doctors here performed open-heart surgery on Avery when she was just 10 days old. It was the first of 10 surgical procedures on Avery before the age of 2. Avery has a rare genetic disorder, and 5 years ago, when she was 3, Barbara Bush was visiting children in the hospital when she noticed little Avery admiring her ring. Well, Mrs. Bush didn't think her husband would be too happy giving her the ring, but she did give her something even more precious, a bracelet that was given to her after the Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings.
How about if I give you Sandy Hook? Would you like that? This is for little boys and girls and teachers, and that's yours.
This was really amazing because it's from Sandy Hook and it has the Tree of Life on it. I took that at the time as a sign that, you know, this is life for Avery's going to go on.
I want to thank her for all that she's done for me and for other children and the hospital that's named after her.
And new at 5:30, we're going to visit with another young girl who actually had open heart surgery when she was just 2 days old, and she just went through her 3rd open heart surgery about 4 months ago. Their story coming up at 5:30. Kim?
All right, thank you, Brad. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Bush have mostly stayed out of the public eye for the last few years, but just about a year ago now, in May of 2017, they were on hand for a bridge rededication in Maine, helping cut the ribbon for the Matthew Lanigan Bridge, which connects Kennebunk and Kennebunkport. And in September of 2017, Mrs. Bush and 41 attended a literacy event in Arundel. $1 billion has been raised by the Barbara Bush Foundation for Family Literacy, which is a cause near and dear to her heart. So as I send it back to John, it is certainly clear what a huge impact the former First Lady has had here on Maine. Our thoughts and prayers are with them, as are most of the people of Maine right now. John, we'll have more coverage in our next half hour, but for now I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Kim, that's for sure. Many thoughts and prayers. We'll see you again a little later tonight. And to your forecast now at 5, a live look outside. You've seen that heavy rain as this messy mix continues. In some spots, there's also been ice causing crashes. Here in Windham, a vehicle actually went off the road and into a river, floating downstream. It happened while roads were slick, according to police. We'll have more on that story coming up in a minute. But first, we do want to send it over to Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. And the wind is picking up too, Charlie. There could be some power outages.
Absolutely, John. You know, a lot of variables in the storm system. As you talked about the sleet, the wintry weather, well, that is retreating farther inland back through the hillier terrain and mountains. You're still seeing some sleet and freezing rain. That rain-snow line kind of hanging out right around the Oxford Hills, northern Androscoggin County, and extending up into northern Kennebec County. South of that line, it's just all heavy rain at this point. Let's get in a little bit closer or show you where our heaviest bands are. Our heaviest bands will be between now and about 9 o'clock or so. Where Kim is down in Kennebunkport, that heavy band that was with her about 20 minutes ago has shifted off to the north. Those of you over toward, let's head down towards Biddeford, Saco, Old Orchard Beach are in it right now. This will be extending up through Cape Elizabeth, Scarborough, Portland. We just had one torrential downpour over toward Westbrook as well. And this extends back to the Sebago Lake area. And again, this is a little bit more of a wintry mix. The farther north you go, back towards Bridgeton perhaps, this extends up through the Oxford Hills and the Route 2 corridor. So it's still slippery with temperatures hanging out around the freezing mark there. Now, the wind is still gusting over 40 miles per hour for a few specific locations right at the coastline. The Portland Jetport has had the strongest wind so far. Just within the last hour, about an hour ago, Portland had the peak gusts of 52 miles per hour. Most areas are gusting 30, 35 at the coast and a little bit lighter inland at about 20 to 30 miles per hour inland. This is about 9 o'clock tonight. Heaviest bands of rain, strongest winds will start to shift off to the north. So between now and about 9, 10 o'clock, that's the worst of the storm. I suspect by tomorrow morning, we'll actually see a little sun make an appearance. That's about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. There's only the slight chance for an afternoon shower tomorrow. It will be a pleasure to bring you the forecast, including some sun, a little bit of a warm up, but we're tracking the potential for a little bit more light rain and even some mountain snow. I'll explain that in a few minutes. John, back to you.
New at 5, 5 men are rescued after police say their car flew off River Road and into Pleasant River in Windham. Police say it happened around 2 this afternoon near Maynard Road. Police say the 5 people in that car were able to escape the car and stand on the roof until help arrived. Officials say those men are lucky to be alive.
Could have been much worse. It's a good thing because you can see how deep the water is there, and so they were pretty lucky because the vehicle is completely submerged. You see just the taillights right now.
Police say the car may not be removed for days. We will have the latest on this coming up live at 5:30. And coming up next at 5, running in the rain. The 122nd Boston Marathon is now in the books. Hear from Mainers who took on the 26.2 journey next.
You're watching CBS 13 News.
Through that heavy rain and freezing temperatures, runners from all across the globe took part in the Boston Marathon today. The 26.2-mile course lined with fans, of course, ready to cheer those runners on. CBS 13's Dan Lamparello is live in Boston. And Dan, how did the weather affect things down there?
Well, John, you know, you guys had some heavy rain up there in Maine today. We had a lot of heavy rain. It's kind of lightened up a little bit right now, starting to come down a little bit more. But there were more than 30,000 runners today here at the 122nd Boston Marathon. And behind me, you can see many of them are still coming across the finish line, reuniting with their families. Many of them resilient, going through these downpours like it's nobody's business and puddles, that sort of thing, just so they can cross that finish line and take home a medal today. And there were still plenty of fans out here along the marathon route to cheer them on. Along the sidelines, soaking wet.
The rain's definitely keeping people from being out here, but I think just with the atmosphere is still as great as it ever was.
Through puddles and downpours, fans and runners tried preparing for the worst.
Definitely pack a lot of warm clothes. I kind of wish I had my ski pants right now. Lots of layers. Yeah, not enough. Didn't bring enough.
Runners taking it all with stride. How was it out there?
Really cold. I can't talk because my face is so cold. It was great. You know, it was such an honor to start with the elites, and so I think I went out way too hard, but how can you not?
Tracy Garrett from St. Agatha was the first woman from Maine to cross the finish line today, finishing in 2 hours and 54 minutes.
It's an honor to represent my state. I know so many people were thinking and praying for me today, and I felt their prayers out there.
Runners needing that extra strength today to make it to the finish line.
I had a big jacket on while I was running about 10 miles in, and then I had to get rid of it because it was too heavy. But kept warm for the first half of it anyway.
You just got to suck it up and get through it. So it's that tough Maine mentality.
They finished wet and cold, but still victorious.
Congratulations!
Encompassing what it means to run the Boston Marathon.
And this is the most historic race. You know, it's epic.
It's really great to be out here and supporting everyone. It's just kind of like a bonding experience around the city.
You definitely can't beat the atmosphere down here on Boylston Street during the marathon. Now, there were also some big wins here today. Desi Linden was the first American woman to win the Boston Marathon today in more than 33 years. There was also a record broken in the men's race as well. Yuki Kawauchi from Japan became the first man from Japan to win in 31 years. So definitely record-breaking year here, record-breaking cold. The weather not helping as much either. Coming up at 5:30, we're going to have plenty more from Mainers who are here at today's Boston Marathon. For now, though, we're live in downtown Boston. I'm Dan Lamparello for CBS 13 News. Back to you.
Dan, with our coverage of Mainers at the marathon. Dan, thanks for that. A live look now outside back in Maine. Still really a mess out there. The rain is hanging on. That wind will also be something we'll need to keep an eye on going forward tonight. Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti is tracking all of it. And Charlie, some big gusts mean some power outages.
Yeah, there's the potential for some power outages. No question about that, John. We've had some gusts over 50 miles per hour, 52 the peak wind gusts in Portland about an hour ago. Hey, this is brand new. I want to share this with you. Just brand new within the last 2 minutes. A brand new flood advisory has now been issued now for a good chunk of Cumberland County, all of York County down to southern New Hampshire, and this extends up towards the Freiburg area as well. So we're going to watch that for mainly the small streams, urban flooding, and that kind of thing. So some heavy bands are moving through the area. I don't have to tell you that. Some the heaviest rainfall so far today has been making its way through southern Maine just within the last hour or so. So let's get in a little bit closer on where that is. Notice that heavy rainfall in Portland. That's the band that was moving through Kennebunkport that we just saw from Kim's report very early in the newscast here. That has started to lighten up just a little bit. Farther off to the south, though, the rain is a little bit lighter. There's some breaks farther to the south, and this rain is moving from south to north. Those of you up in Lewis and Auburn, you're next on this. Brunswick, Bath, you're next on this as well. And across mid-coast Maine, yeah, you still have some heavy rainfall there. And it's an entirely different scenario the farther west you go. Notice back towards the Route 2 corridor right there, even portions of 302 through Bridgeton, Freiburg. It's a wintry mix that is hanging on with air temperatures right around the freezing mark there. Wind advisories are up until 2 o'clock in the morning along the coastline. We have wind advisories up back into portions of the White Mountains in New Hampshire, up towards Coos County as well. Winds may occasionally gust 40 to 50 miles per hour in the advisory area. In addition to that, this is new as well. The Weather Service has extended the winter weather advisory now for Androscoggin and Kennebec County, portions of Oxford County as well, now until 8 o'clock tonight. That was set to expire at 5 p.m. That has changed now to 8 p.m. The winter weather advisory up near the international border has been extended now till midnight tonight. We're going to look more at some of the flooding potential and the advisory situation coming up in just a little bit. Now, you might be wondering why the heavy rain. Why is the rain so heavy here? Look at this tropical fetch of moisture coming right out of the Caribbean and moving right up into New England right here. So we actually have a tropical connection to the storm system. Sort of a almost a similar scenario to what we had 11 years ago today. Today's the 11-year anniversary of the Patriots' Day nor'easter. Of course, we had about 8 inches of rain with that storm system and winds gusting to 80 miles per hour over in Cape Elizabeth. We're not expecting that. All right, 11 o'clock tonight. Here's the back edge of the rain. You might be wondering when the rain is going to come to an end. Between about 8 and 10 p.m. That's my best estimate, moving from south to north, and that wintry mix will come to an end in the mountains as well. 6 a.m. might be a few showers lingering tomorrow, but the back edge will be shifting off to the north. In fact, some sun will try to make an appearance. It will be short-lived. There'll be a few more clouds by afternoon and the chance for some scattered showers. Most of the action will be in the mountains, but I'm happy to report the air temp should warm into the low 50s. It will be breezy, but it won't be windy. So we're looking forward to that part of the forecast. And look at the extended forecast. Hang in there, guys. We'll get a better forecast eventually here. At times, more clouds than sun. Tomorrow we'll start with clouds and showers. I think sunny breaks will take place. Mostly cloudy on Wednesday. Some more rain moves in on Thursday. The mountains will probably see a little bit of light snow on Thursday. I don't think that's a huge issue. A lot of clouds Friday, and right now the weekend is looking better. And yes, that's a 63 at the end of the extended forecast. More on your 7 Day in a few minutes. John, over to you.
Something to look forward to, Charlie. Thanks for that. Still to come next, the president's personal attorney in court. The evidence prosecutors are interested in looking at from a raid of Michael Cohen.
You're watching CBS 13 News.
Adult film star Stormy Daniels showed up at the court hearing for President Trump's personal attorney. Michael Cohen is arguing to block prosecutors from examining evidence seized in a raid last week. Investigators want more information about Cohen's $130,000 payment to Daniels, who claims she had an affair with Trump in 2016. Cohen's attorneys are asking the judge to let them, or President Trump, review the documents before prosecutors or hire an independent third party. Prosecutors want to know if Cohen broke banking or campaign laws with that payment to Daniels. Cohen's attorneys say the FBI seized thousands of materials that were likely privileged and may have involved Cohen's other clients. They revealed in court that one of those other clients is Fox News personality Sean Hannity. Hannity, who has defended Cohen on his show repeatedly, says he never hired the lawyer, only asked advice on legal matters. Still ahead at 5:30, continuing our coverage tonight of the life and legacy of former First Lady Barbara Bush. Coming up, a live update on her condition and reaction from her family in Houston.
Through freezing temperatures and pouring rain, plenty of people still line Boylston Street today to cheer on their favorite runners for the Boston Marathon. Coming up, we'll have more from fans and some runners from Maine.
And the weather has started to improve down in the Boston area. It will improve in our area as well. We'll take a look at when the back edge of the rain will be moving through, the areas that are still seeing freezing rain, and when the sun finally makes an appearance. It'll be a pleasure to bring you that part of the forecast coming up in a few minutes.